Hi folks. So I've done another video on this topic, and if you want to look in my video list, it's called Bridging the Gap Between Hope and Faith. But I just got this idea to express it in this other way. So if we look at astrology, hope is represented by the asteroid called Elpis. Okay? And if you look up the mythology around Elpis, which was a spirit that was personified, it actually stands for hope. Okay? So the asteroid Elpis represents hope because it also represents the mythology of Elpis, which is a personified spirit, the personification of hope. Now, in the mythology, the story goes something around the lines of Zeus put all of these personified spirits in a jar. Okay. So let me see if I can depict a jar here. Okay. And then inside that jar were all these personified spirits, and then Pandora got a hold of the jar. She opened it and released them all. That's the story of Pandora's box. So once they were released, they couldn't be put back in. But Elpis stayed in the jar. And the jar was relidded. You know, the lid was put back on the jar. And Elpis stayed there, and she felt it was her duty to stay as a comfort to mankind, because it was known that mankind would need hope when traversing through some of the lower density things where all hope is lost and where we cannot see the options and the solutions that are available at all times. Hope is a very important thing to have so that we don't give up. It's a comfort. It can be held in this jar right here. It's like something that you can hold on to. So it's very important to have hope and to have Elpis in this jar to hold on to. So what I want to point out is that as long as we have hope, we are putting our hands around this jar, and all we can ever get out of doing that, is more reasons to hope. If we are in the expectation of hoping for something, that means we are in the expectation of not having it. If we want to achieve the thing that we're hoping for, we must graduate to faith. We must be in the vibration of knowing we have it, knowing it is ours, knowing that we are lining up with it, knowing that we are willing to allow it, knowing that it exists and we can just line up with it, having faith that it's there for us. So I would offer faith as the step above hope, and point out that hope is actually a step along the way. So it's like a step on the ladder in order to achieve what it is that we are hoping for. Once we step into faith, the knowing that it's there for us, that's when we can line up for it. That's when we're no longer caged in this jar. And of course, this jar was very comforting, so it may require stepping out of the comfort zone. But the other thing I want to mention is that if we're hoping for something, our intentions matter. So whatever the intention is that we're applying to this hope, and when we step into faith, whatever the intention is for whatever it is we're having faith in, does come into play. And so I do suggest considering applying faith in the highest good of all. Because the highest good of all is going to be considered when it comes to faith. And also when you're asking for something that you might have hoped for, you may be selling yourself short in some ways because you can't see the highest possible manifestation that is appropriate for you and everyone else. You may be misunderstanding what would be the best option. So I suggest considering only having faith in what is the win-win-win for all, in what creates the best chance for everyone to have what's in their best interest. So if we are not prepared to have faith in that manner, then hope is a much more appropriate place to be until we can be responsible enough with our faith. Though if you come up to faith and are having faith that something certain is going to happen, like for instance, that someone's going to get their karma, faith is not used to the detriment of anybody. Faith is something where you are aligning with the will of the universe, and it takes your free will to do that. See, once you use your free will, you can align with the will of the universe. And if you're not using your free will, if you're defaulting to any programs that have been put in you or energies that have attached to you or you have attached to or adopted in the way of beliefs, then those will be what is motivating you and also filtering your view. And so if you start hoping for certain things through that lens, it may not be in the highest good of all. So hope is really just this comfort item. It's like a blankie. It's like a beautiful, important thing, but it's also not the highest thing on the ladder of achieving manifestations and achieving what we want. That's why sometimes you'll see that you don't get what you hope for, because maybe you didn't come into alignment with knowing you could have it, or if you did, maybe it wasn't in the best interest of all people. So there's a lot more that comes into it. But I thought it was very interesting, and I wanted to talk about this Elpis because I'm actually trying to clear karma on the topic of Elpis and hope. And the reason is I've been working on various different curses of Zues and sort of untangling them for a while now. And this is the one that I've been working on. It's Elpis. There's actually 2 others that I'm working on currently, but they're not on this topic. So when we look at Elpis, there's the mythology of Elpis and her interactions with Zeus. With a quick Google search, you can find out a bunch, and it just inspired me to talk about it in this way. And so you can see I actually, this is my second take. This was my first take, and it didn't look like a jar at all, so I decided to try again. That's why you saw me being so careful. So now I've showed you my bloopers, and I've given you my reasons, and I'd love your feedback and your thoughts on Elpis, because I'm not really sure how to work through this loop, this karma exactly, because I haven't quite got resolution on the issue. What I did initially is just graduated to faith and didn't use hope anymore. but it's still coming up as something that I need to clear or understand more. So please give me your feedback and tell me what you think of hope, and what have you experienced, and what have you come to understand about it. All right, thanks a bunch. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.